Ooh, Mikey like. Looky there. Hey guys, welcome back. The Polk LSiM 707s are in the house. I'm 6'2". If you can't tell how big these are, well, I don't know what to tell you. They're not only 115 pounds each as boxed. The wife had to help me get these in the door. They are just massive. I saw the measurements as compared to what I have now, but really wasn't prepared for the size of the boxes. Now I know there's Polk boxes inside here. Hopefully there's some nice shipping protection inside because they are kind of beat up, but that's what the double boxing is for. So let's get these open somehow and take a look at these beautiful speakers. And I am keeping all of the boxes perfectly intact because I am simply going to audition these. I still have no idea if I'm going to like them better than the Klipsch or not. Or specifically better than the RF7 3s, because that's really what I'm comparing these to, not the ones I have now. I'm 99% certain they're going to be better than those. But if I don't like them better than the overall Klipsch sound, I'm going to get those and return these or sell them locally. More likely, I'll be able to flip them no problem. Wow, this is difficult. Oh, wow. Okay. Ooh, Mikey like. Looky there. Beautiful. Identical in appearance as far as the build to the center. We have a gloss front section that you just see the rim of with the grills on. I actually like the grills on, specifically in the center because I don't like seeing reflections when I'm watching a movie. It's very distracting, but they specifically made the tops satin so it doesn't reflect things. And it looks absolutely gorgeous. Again, it's that ever so slightly red-hued black. Beautiful. The base is also gloss. I like that. I don't mind that at all. I like that the logos are way down low. Those won't catch my eye. The reason, it's not that I have anything against the logo, but on the center, they've got it way up at the top. It's right by the TV, and that's where my eye goes. These don't bother me when I'm watching a movie, but the bright silver on black, it's very contrasty and it's distracting. So I actually have some felt that I'm going to put over it, cut it to match, and it'll make it completely disappear. So it'll be a nice plain black grill on the center, and that will complete it. I've got a rubber around here. I don't know if I mentioned that in the center unboxing, but this whole surround for the mid-range and the ring tweeter is soft rubber. So it really helps with the diffraction. Weird looking little tweeter. It's like a little, if you've seen a ThinkPad laptop, it's like their little nub pointer. That's exactly what it looks like. And it's pretty soft. It's like a rubber material too, but it's concentric rings instead of a silk dome. Very cool. Then we have the mid bass driver, and then the two 6x9 woofers, like an old school car back deck. Well, here you go. It makes a more efficient use of the space. So if you had, say for example, two 10-inch drivers, which it's equivalent to, you have to have a wider cabinet. So they were able to keep it really narrow. And I really do think it is a little narrower than the Klipsch. So that's pretty cool. Dead. I mean, this is solid. Totally different than the Klipsch. Even the RF7, The RF7 are a lot better than the regular reference, don't get me wrong. You're comparing American real wood construction to Chinese mass-produced. This, by the way, is also Chinese mass-produced, believe it or not. Some of Polk's are made here in the US, but even their top of the lines are produced in China. But damn, they did a good job, that's for sure. Okay, so down here, along with the other features that I talked about with the center, these have identical twin base ports, obviously a lot larger than the center, but they are facing down. They're down firing ports with that same funnel technology, so you don't need to worry about so much room correction as far as where it is against the back wall, and it's going to give you better bass dispersion. It also has fully adjustable feet, both rubber plugs and spikes. You can remove the rubber plugs off the spikes, so if you have carpet, you're covered. And they give you a wrench here, just a regular Allen wrench, and you can adjust the rake angle of all four or level them completely easily from the top without having to disassemble anything or, you know, use two people. So that is really cool. We have the same four huge binding posts on the back here that you saw in the center. They are bi-amp and bi-wireable if you choose to do so. Now I had, the last Polks I had were Studio Monitor 70s Series 2, and I did bi-amp those, and it did make a difference. I don't have the extra channels to do that now, but I would do that again if I had the extra channels. I did notice an immediate difference when I did it to those. If it would make a difference on these, I don't know. Probably never going to be able to test that theory until I get an amp, maybe an 11 channel. Now, you know what? Even those, they only put out big power to the front three. I would love one that puts out big power to 5 channels, because then you could do your front, center, right and bi-amp your mains. That would be cool. But pretty much all of them out there that I've seen, I'm sure there are some out there, but I haven't noticed yet. They do like 200 a channel to the front three and then, you know, 100 to the rest, even if it's an 11 or 13 channel, because your surrounds and Atmos don't need hundreds of watts. Your front three do. Something to think about. Maybe Monoprice will come out with something. I'm really interested in their new processor that's just about to drop. All right, well, there she is. Let's put the grill on, see how that looks. Now, one word of caution that I did see online is make sure you put the grills on, it shouldn't have to be said, but right way up. You can see that there are cutouts here. The magnets will kind of support it either way, but if you put it on upside down, it does tend to fall off, I've heard. I don't know how anyone could make that mistake. So you just rest the grill on the logo down there and it goes into the right position. This has several sets of magnets up and down as opposed to just the 2 on the center. It's a nice, very soft, silky material on the outside. Love the way that looks. That is beautiful. So boom, you can see how tall it is. About 5.5 feet tall or so, plus whatever you want to put under it. Okay, there you go. There's the Polk LSiM 707 in Midnight Mahogany. Very beautiful. It's got a little schmutz here. Hey guys, today we're unboxing the first of a pretty good upgrade for the home theater here. This, at least should be, the Polk Audio LSiM 706C center channel. I got a phenomenal deal, a one-day closeout. They finally are retiring the LSiM line. They just announced their new legacy products, which are going for, well, they haven't, at least I haven't seen a price for the new center. The mains are $6,000 a pair. I got $5,200 worth of speakers, just the mains and center, for $1,440 to my door. They were selling them direct on Polk for 50% off, but Adorama had them for 73% off, one day only. And I snagged one of the last sets. So we've got a double box in here. This is an Adorama shipping box and a Polk box inside. Let's go ahead and open this one up. The center channel I've got, I'll show it to you in a second, is the best reference series that they have, that Klipsch has. And it's the only front ported one. That's very important for me because in this room, I don't have room for a rear ported speaker. I had one in here before. It actually was a mid-grade Polk, and it sounded great. It still sounds great. One of my buddies bought it. Plenty of bass, very natural, matched the timbre of the mains perfectly, but it was too big for my shelf here. I have my mantle above the fireplace, which is where my center has to go, and with a rear port, you're out of room. Open other end, I will do that. So I'm very limited as to what I can use up there. This particular Klipsch is front ported. No problem. It goes right up against the wall. It's nice and slim. It is very form-fitting to the room. Love the way it looks. It's not timbre matched though to the mains. My R820s have dual 8-inch drivers in each tower, and the center just doesn't quite keep up. Now they do have much better center channels in the reference Premier line. They're still not really good speakers, but they're certainly better than this particular one. What I was looking at, besides the LSIM line, say that 5 times fast, were the Klipsch RF7 version 3s and its matched center channel. That one was unique because it's sealed. One of the very rare center channels that's sealed. Why more companies don't do that is beyond me. They're just making these monster rear ported designs. And this is certainly one of those. Now you might be thinking, didn't you just say you can't get a rear ported speaker? That's true, except for the LSIM line. And that's because the LSIM line has very special bass ports. Specifically what's after the bass ports. We'll take a look at that after we get this out of the box. So I have a README first, and it is a how to take it out of the box. It's basically open the top, flip it open, take the box off, take the cardboard out. Okay, we can do that again. Try not to drag anything on this table. I'm gonna have to go lengthwise here. This is a beast. This is 43 pounds of center channel. That's not only heavier, but it's bigger than many speakers. Certainly most bookshelves. It's within, 5 pounds of my Klipsch main speakers in weight. It is a beast. Now, like the Klipsch, we have a magnetic grill. I've heard these are quite bendable, so I'm going to be very careful with that. It does have a fairly rigid frame. I don't know how people could bend that unless you're stepping on it or something. I think the Klipsch are more flimsy, and I don't have any problem with those. Oh, that just plunked down on my finger, and that's, believe me, every pound of its rated weight. Oh, wow. That is a gorgeous finish. Comes into a cherry, which is not real cherry. It's colored wood, and this midnight mahogany, which is not quite black. There is a really dark, slight red, grainy hue to it. I was hoping it would match my floors, and it really does. This is a dark bamboo floor I have in the house. I'm gonna be very careful about getting this guy out. Wow, that is gorgeous. My main speakers aren't being delivered until tomorrow, and now I seriously can't wait. Oh man. Compared to the black ash of the Klipsch, this looks like true furniture. And you guys have seen the front before me. I'm just in awe of this finish. Absolutely gorgeous. And what I'm lifting up back here is what makes this particularly special. There are no feet on that yet. Ooh, man. Wow. Okay. Well, first of all, I can't get my hand under it to spin it. There we go. First of all, gorgeous. Let me grab the camera here for you. Stunning finish. The front is glossy, where it would be behind the grill, and then the rest is actually a satin. I'm not sure if the camera is going to pick up the slight, I mean it is slight red hue in there. I can only see it in certain light. When this room is dark, it's simply going to look black. You can kind of see it right there, just in the fringes of the light reflection. Tiniest bit of color. Does show fingerprints a little bit, but this is what made me really interested in this series. See that? That is a reverse funnel. The air coming out of the port is directed through the funnel, or around the funnel, I should say, to the sides. All around, up, down, to the sides, left and right. There's two of them, meaning I can put this all the way back against my wall, just like I had the Klipsch. Huge binding posts. Those are every bit as good as the ones on, oh, it's upside down, on the receiver. It is bi-amp and bi-wireable. I won't be doing either one of those. And they do give you nice big heavy gauge wires there. It looks like spades. Take a look at the front here. Another thing that makes this series stand out is the tweeter. It is not a standard soft dome tweeter. They call it a ring tweeter. It's supposed to have really good dispersion. And this is one of the very rare three-way center channel speakers. Two woofers, a mid-range, and the ring tweeter. Vast majority of them out there are two-way designs. Oh, that is gorgeous. I'm going to have to really debate keeping the grills on or off. The Klipsch, I could go either way. I wasn't really a fan of how they looked with them off, but this is gorgeous. So don't mind the gap. I've already raised the TV in preparation for getting this guy up there because it is twice the height of this Klipsch. It makes this thing look absolutely tiny now. So here, again, a magnetic grill. And it's just plastic, very, I wouldn't call it flimsy, but it's very light. That's all there is to that. And yeah, I swear, all they did with the reference line and the reference premiere line is put these gaudy colored fasteners in here. And on the reference premiere line, they got rid of them and they put nice trim rings around the drivers. I swear they did that just to make you buy the premiere line. They sound identical to my ears. But I hate the look of these fasteners, especially on the center. It's not quite as noticeable on the mains, but this sounds great. It really does. It's very clear, but it's not timbre matched to the drivers, like I said, to the mains. And that's because this doesn't even go down to 80. So you're ending up having to either cross it over at 90 or live with something missing and cross it over at 80. The tweeter is the same horn-loaded tweeter that they use in the drivers, and it sounds great. I mean, you get that typical Klipsch sound, but you're never going to get much out of 3.5-inch drivers, no matter how many you put in there. There's 4 in here, and they all go to a shared forward vented chamber. Compared to this beast, not even close. There we go. I flipped it over right way. Put the rubber feet on the bottom. Love it. Let's put the grill on. Very nice, very nice. Very secure. You've got 2 pretty strong magnets, one centered on either end, and they just go to little metal standoffs on the speaker itself. Have to say I'm not really digging the Polk Audio logo. I might just black that out. You can't remove it. It's punched through the actual frame, so it's not like it just floats on the grill or anything. But I think it would look better just black. I don't want to draw attention to that right there. So this should give you a size comparison. Just about the same width, only a couple extra inches. But look at the height difference. That's not even close. Look at the depth. Not even close. We're talking a quarter of the volume in there. I mean, that's going to be a lot more sound, a lot more bass. Now the clips are far more efficient. You're talking mid-90s down to 88. So it does take more amplifier power if this is the kind of upgrade you're looking for. Luckily, I had already upgraded my receiver, 140 watts a channel, so I have no worries about that. So right in here is where the center channel goes, and you can see it's pretty shallow. You know, this shelf is only about 8 inches, and the clips had about an inch left. So it took up the whole shelf, and you can see how much extra I need. So what I did is the same thing I did last time, built a shelf. I just used MDF, cut it slightly undersized because what I want it to do is kind of disappear. So it should fit the feet fine, but you shouldn't see too much of it once installed. And all I need to do is figure out how far out I need it to go, and it screws right down into my mantle. You can see the 2 holes from the last time I had a shelf up here. And it will stick out probably almost double what the shelf or what the mantle does now, and might come to about where the hearth is. And then once the speaker's on it, should completely disappear. Now I left myself 1.5 inches of clearance to the bottom of the TV, and that's because it does stick out so far. When you're watching on the seats, I don't want to have the front of the speakers cutting off viewing the TV. So I raised the TV up 6 inches. If I need to bump it down 1 inch, you know, not a huge deal. I'll just take the TV down and drill new holes, but I think I measured it right. Got everything measured out, lined up, got my holes pre-drilled. Putting 3 screws in, had 2 in the last time, but this is about 15 pounds heavier than the last time. So it's not going to be sticking out too far. The speaker, however, is going to be overhanging about another 4 inches. And there we go. Now I've got the screws a full inch into the mantle, just shy of poking through the bottom. And I countersunk the holes here on top so that they are slightly under the surface. There's no chance of anything hitting the speaker. There we go. Now one thing I didn't count on was the curved back. So you can see the back corner of the shelf, but that's okay. I mean, seriously, without these lights on, I never, well, that's my filming light, but I never have this mantle light on up here. You're not going to see it. You don't see details up here when I have this actually set up right. Now, this is designed to be low to the ground. You know, normally people are putting this on an entertainment rack or a dedicated center speaker stand, so it is slightly tilted up. We need to correct that. I at least need it to be pointing straight, if not down a little bit, because it's slightly above my ear level by about 1 foot. So I'm going to use sorbitol pads. I've used these in the past for isolation, vibration isolation. They work great. Big tip, if you use them, wrap them in saran wrap because they get uber sticky after a time. And if you put them on anything with paint, it will take that paint up the first time you have to remove them. So put them in plastic and you can put them underneath anything. So I'm just going to put, I got 2 stacked, and I'm going to put 2 of these stacks in underneath the rear feet, and hopefully that gives me enough rake to just make this flush. Perfect, that did the trick. You can see them down in there just because I got the light shining in, but that worked out flawlessly. All right, super happy. Can't wait to break it in. These are going to take 40 to 50 hours of break in. These are reportedly one of the worst for taking their time, but being rewarding once it happens. So I'll have The next video should be unboxing the Big Brother towers, which are even bigger than these Klipsch R80s by about 6 inches. And a lot of heft. They are 100 pounds a piece, twice these guys. That's it. See you guys next time. Well, that looks different. All right, so TV is obviously gone. Center channel is gone. Shelf is gone. That was simply a piece of MDF that I painted, and I had anchored with 3 big screws. And that was enough to support it and just stop it from tipping up. Now, here's my idea. This is plan A for mounting the center. These are universal microwave wall mount brackets. They swivel, they tilt. You can also use them underneath a cabinet. And these telescope. They've got wing nuts on the bottom, and they slide, you can see quite a bit. But I'm gonna be using them kind of like reverse or upside down shelf brackets. Instead of mounting like this and a shelf on top, these mount like this. And you've got multiple screw holes. You sink the top one first, level it, sink this bottom variable, and then sink at least one of the other ones here. And these will go down somewhere like that. They support a good 20 pounds over my center. They're made for medium-sized microwaves. The set was like 25 bucks. So super cheap, certainly easy enough to try. And I'll just use really nice long screws to go into my wood here, and that should support the center no problem. Then I'll just rerun my wire underneath, took it off from the top. I measured the height of the center, set these out equal distance from the center point. That's one leveled. Now we'll do the other. And then I'll set this when I get the center up there. It's roughed in. There we go. Now it's not going to stick out too far. I'm adding another 3 inches from where it was, just from the thickness of the mantle. So it's not too big of a deal. It's still not going to go beyond the hearth. So that's not a big deal. It's not where we walk. These will probably go in just a smidge. And you know what? If for some reason they don't work, a little bit of wood filler and paint, and they were never there. My plan B is to make a sling with some type of top bracket, probably something like this, some kind of steel probably, and then some threaded rods and bolts with a piece of lumber underneath, like a hanging shelf. But this, I think, should work. I've got rubber feet on the bottom of the center, which should line up here, if I measured right. If not, I'm gonna move the feet. And I'm probably, depends on how much you can see, probably gonna just drape the front of those with, oh, you know what? They are really thin, especially back here. I was gonna drape them with the felt. I use this stuff for everything, man. You wanna hide corners and contours and just suck up light, black felt. Go get yourself some at any fabric store, or around here, Walmart carries it. Fantastic stuff, super cheap, buy a few yards, cut it up, all kinds of good uses in home theater. All right, let's put the center up there, see how it looks. Boom, and look at that, that looks slick. I'm definitely gonna put a little bit of felt just as a front veneer over those rails, but that is nice, very secure. I'm gonna put a little black touch-up paint on these bolts, or these screws here, so you won't even see those. And I don't wanna put anything on the side because these are actually my base ports. They go omnidirectional off the back, that's so you can put it as far back as you want against a wall. It's doing its job, it's isolated. I moved these as far back as I can and then scooted them out just so I'm not touching any parts. It should be good to go. Okay, well, let's wire it up and clean up that front, and that project will be done. And there we go. Got it wired in, nice and hidden. Felt cleaned up all the edges that you can see. That blends right in. Now here's another cool thing. I had a nice match before vertically between the drivers, but now, look at that. I mean, almost spot on. What's really cool about these particular speakers, these are the Polk LSiM 707s and the 706. It is a perfect sonic match because each tower has 2 subdrivers, but each, and they're individually cabineted and ported down the bottom. Every driver is individually sealed, so it's a perfect sonic match. Hey guys, welcome back for another video. It's time for a couple new upgrades. These, not so expensive, but I hope they're gonna make a really good difference. Today's video is about upgrade number 1, the rear surrounds. Next video will be an upgrade of the rug. You might notice my voice is a little echoey right now, and if you watched, I can't remember which video it was either the LSiM 707 review or the setup video, but my closing talk, it sounded very echoey, and that's because there was no rug in the room like there is right now. Long story short, the dogs destroyed it. It looked like a murder scene with the UV light. Starting to smell, couldn't get it clean, got rid of it. We have a new rug coming in, not only for here, but another one for the bedroom, and they're from Ruggables. They're washable. It's a 2-part system. I'll have a full review of it, but I'm excited for it in here, and it's an upgrade in here because it's covering another 20 square feet of hardwood floor. This is gonna go right up to the speakers. It's gonna be a little bit larger than the last one. I'm gonna have it all in front, since I'll be able to walk on it now and not have to worry about traffic and getting it dirty, because it all goes in the washer, just the top section of it. Clover, do not eat the couch. Hey. Oh my. Moved on from the biting me phase to chewing every other thing in the house phase. I did find a spray that helps, by the way, if you've got a puppy. It's the Cherry No Bite. Got it on Amazon. I tried all the ones at Walmart and the pet store, and they didn't do anything. But the Cherry one, it doesn't last that long, but it works. She'll lick something, and it's kind of bitter. Never mind. So anyway, I'm excited for that. That'll help with reflections, obviously, in the room. But the surrounds here are the only remnant left of my theater 2 versions ago. I got these and installed them when we bought the house, and I set this up originally. Back then I was using, again, Polk Audio, but the monitor, yes, that's my finger. She at least doesn't chomp and draw too much blood anymore. She just kind of sucks on it. Monitor 7 Series 2 speakers and the matching center. And these were pretty good about matching the timbre. They were okay, they were passable with the clips. I always said, well, you know, it's just surround, not that important. But I had to push them pretty well. I think they're 88 or 89 dB efficiency, so they had to catch up with the clips because they were very efficient. However, because they're so close to the listening position, it still worked out. I think these were boosted between 2 and 3 dB, so not that big of a deal. And they're bipole, which work out really well in a situation like this where your seating position is directly up against the wall. I have no problem with the way these image, especially after the YPOW room correction. It just works very well. But my issue now is I'm so in love with the LSiM series. These are not matching the timbre of these new Polks at all. I mean, not even close. You go through the speaker identification, the test tones, it's not even in the ballpark. The Atmos speakers have way more of a match than these do, and these are kind of like a Klipsch copy. But the other really only big drawback to them is they're fairly small, they're very compact, and for the price, they're excellent surround speakers. They're only 120 bucks a pair in walnut black or white. They only have 4-inch drivers, one on each side, and then a 1-inch tweeter also on one on each side. They only go down to 130 hertz. That's not great. I mean, it's passable, and for the price, it's fine. Just means you're crossing them over higher. And again, I'd always tell myself, it's just surround, not that big of a deal. Well, there's such a great deal on the LSiM speakers right now that I'm getting them while I can. They're 1,500 bucks down to 400 bucks. They're coming in this afternoon. They have the same technology and same drivers as the mains. It's going to be a perfect timbre match. More importantly, to the center. That's what really draws your ear when effects and everything are going around you. and I just couldn't pass up the deal. So that'll just set everything in stone and be done as far as I know. I'll tell you, the other really cool thing, this is just a quick side note, I no longer have to crank the subs to the max because now all the speakers are properly matched sensitivity-wise. The clips were just so far above everything else that the subs had to be so far pushed just to match that they were tapped out. They're not even breathing hard now. They're probably a little bit more efficient than the mains. So I came down 5 dB and it's just beautiful. Sounds the same, but I can crank it louder. So that's pretty cool. So just like the rest of the line, these are solid high caliber construction. Inside we have a how to unbox, same thing. Take off the top, flip it over, separate the contents. Inside we have an oval, 2 separate speakers. These are similar in the design to the Fluence bipoles. These have a driver facing forward and drivers facing to one side only. They're not bipole speakers. So they are directional, and you do need to place the correct left and right one in the right spots depending on where you're going to use them, on a back wall or side walls. You want them aimed at the center of the listening position. Ooh, beautiful piano gloss finish here on the top. I'll bring the camera in a second and get these cleared of the bags. Starting off on the back, first thing I notice is much wider mount points compared to the Fluence. The Fluence pretty much mount like picture frame, just a little bracket hanging off there. And I actually had to drill them out because the holes they gave you were just so tiny. Only tiny little screws would even fit, and they weren't beefy enough to hold the weight of this, which is maybe 7 pounds, if that. Then we have our gold-plated binding posts, and they do give you this nice cutout channel so that you can put this completely flush against the wall. Mine's actually going to be out just a bit because where I have the junction boxes coming through the walls for the cables, it sticks out just a little bit, but I might be able to hang this in a different spot where it's a little easier than the Fluence were. And then around to the front, it's nice and gently curved in comparison to the Fluence, which are a 3-sided, and many others like Klipsch. I like this. This gives a nice, almost commercial theater look. Doesn't mean much because they're angled underneath it, but I think it looks really neat. Let's see how this grill pops off. I don't know if it's magnetic. It is. That's pretty cool. Really strong magnets too. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 magnets. What's that? Oh, that's a little foam protection thing there. On the back side of the logo, probably where the posts go through the grill. Might be able to take the grill off. I mean, logo off. No, it's got an indent for the mount. Just not a fan of that logo. That's okay. You don't see it on surrounds that much, but big strong magnets. Let's take a look at the drivers. Now in my case, this will be my rear right because these are angled what will be towards the center. And one thing I do notice, these are quite sharply angled. So this works beautifully, as well as the Fluence did, for a direct sitting against the back wall situation, because these are aimed really at a shallow angle. Things like the Klipsch, for example, they're more out at 45 degrees. So they don't work really well if it's very close to your seating position, but these will. And then the large bass driver going forward, we've got a switch here. And what this does is attenuate the bass in very specific regions. And that's if you're mounting these really close to a sidewall towards a corner where it would be accentuated. This will tone it down and make it more flat. And I believe it's a 2-foot parameter. And then we have the same ring tweeter and mid-range driver. This is a mid-bass driver out of the regular LSiM series. So it is 100% matched. Love it. Let's get them up on the wall. Two other quick things. Every wall mount speaker should do this, but it's actually quite rare. They give you a template. It is such a pain in the butt to try and mount something perfectly level and get your screw holes and your anchors in exactly the right spot without a template. You end up having to make one yourself. For example, on the Fluence, I had to get a piece of paper and kind of make an indent and then transfer that to the wall, make sure that's level. With this, easy peasy. You've got straight lines, you can poke through right at the perfect positions, put it up on the wall, use a level, and you're good to go. Bada bing, bada boom. Full size diagram of your speaker. They also give you rubber feet in case you want to place these on any kind of surface, or soft felt for the same purpose. Very nice addition. I had to do this myself to the Fluence. Break time. Use two people. This is incredibly difficult to hold up with one hand, peeking around the back, getting that thing aligned on the screws. Whew. Getting the screws in there, no problem. Template worked great. But man, those things get heavy real quick when you're trying to hold them up like this. Not fun, but it looks great. Just a little upgrade, huh? Well, they not only look great, in fact, I think either one of these options look great in anybody's theater, no matter the price point. They both look professional. I love the way both of them look. I like that just better though. That looks commercial to me. That looks like something I see actually going to the theater. You know, that's just what it looks like. Not only size-wise, but just the overall design and aesthetic. I love it. But more importantly, they sound fantastic, and they should be sounding that way for the price. These retailed for $1,500 a pair. I got them on closeout for $400. Couldn't pass it up. Definitely worth $400. I don't know if they're worth $1,500. I mean, $1,500 buys you a plethora of awesome front-end speakers with a lot more materials and a lot more engineering. So I think they just kind of jack the price on the ancillary speakers to gotcha once you're dialed into a system. And, you know, that's where I'm at now, but savvy shopper, not paying full retail, $400, I'll pay it all day long. Well worth it. And the other feature of these that makes them sound so good and full is the power port, the same port and flared funnel design you have on the bottom and back of the 707s and 706. Really gives them full range power. That's it. Stay tuned. More coming later. See ya.